And we're live. Okay, guys, so I told myself that I would challenge myself to do a live video to the best of my ability, at least once a week this week, just to see how it goes. So, I'm not very good at this. I'm not going to be able to respond to any comments or anything like that right away, but I'll do my very best to respond to them over time. Today, right now, what we're going to talk about, let's talk about first-time home buyers. I think that's a fun conversation that I've had over and over and over again in the last, basically for all my career. So first-time home buyers, what does that mean? Who is that? What do they get? What are the special rewards? What are the special products? First-time home buyers, to me, firstly, completely underserved. Right? So you don't know what to expect, so you kind of just go with the first guy or gal who sounds great, but there are some real specific questions you need to ask them to make sure that they're the right person for you. But you wouldn't know that because you're a first-time home buyer and you haven't done it before, and I can appreciate that. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the knowledge to do your best. A couple of questions you want to ask would be, I'm going to go ahead and wave to some people real quick. A couple of questions you want to ask as a first-time home buyer, in my opinion, would be, one, what is the market doing right now? Is it up? Is it down? What does inventory look like? How many homes are on the market right now versus later? What are interest rates? What is my ability or capacity to buy now? Should I wait? Obviously, if you can't buy sooner, but how did it look most recently in the past, and try to get an idea of the big perspective. If they're not serving you with stats and showing you exactly what the market's doing, whether you're a buyer or a seller, man, your realtor is not doing enough, in my opinion, because that's our entire job. If you think that finding a home for you was their job, that may have been true 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but at this point, the internet's solved that equation. You can find a home that you like better than anybody else can. You see the pictures faster, the descriptions, everything about it. So, in my opinion, a first-time home buyer should partner themselves with an agent who has expertise, who knows their craft or their neighborhood or whatever the case may be. I know if you're a beginning agent, that may be worrisome, but the truth is, you have to hone your skills. You have to know your stats. You have to know what's going on in your neighborhood, the events, the charitable foundations, what the city's planning, what the building looks like what the building plans look like. Anything helps. You definitely just don't want to go with someone who's just showing you houses. Like, that's the bare minimum, and they're getting overpaid for what they do. My opinion, and I'm okay with being wrong. Okay, first-time home buyer, that's the agency. Secondly, I'm gonna tackle the lending aspect of it. So, what should your lender do? Well, your lender should be speaking to you in a language that you understand, that you're comfortable with, that's at your pace. There should be no pressure from either your lender or your realtor to move forward at their pace. It should be truly based on your comfort level. However, there's a caveat to that. If the market truly is, based on statistics and facts, moving faster than what you're willing to move at, you either have to come to terms with the market or realize that you may not get the best deal because you want to wait. And that's fine. You just need to be able to be transparent and communicate that fact with the people who you're working with. Okay, so lending, going back to them, ability to communicate in a way that you understand, not the best, not all the stats, not all the numbers, because that may not be how you see it. It just has to be something that's completely understandable for you. Ultimately, I don't care if they charge a ton of fees or no fees, but you should be well aware before you ever write an offer of what every expense is that you need to pay to purchase a property, because they say that buying a home is an emotional experience. I agree with that. However, it's truly a financial decision first, and then it's emotional second. So make sure you understand all the financials: prepaid taxes, prepaid house insurance, if there's flood insurance, are there mellow roofs, are there any special assessment taxes. All those things play a part in your total monthly payment. And then on top of that, does this lender charge points? Does this lender charge fees? What's your interest rate? What is your PMI? And I mean, the list could go on, but that's going to generally be good enough questions for you to dial in and see if you're comfortable, if you're happy, if you understand what's going on. So That's the lending aspect. Now, finally, you know what? Caveat. Down payment assistance. So everyone who's a first-time home buyer believes that there's some sort of special incentive for them to buy a home because they're a first-time home buyer, and that did exist for several years during the recession. There were government grants that gave you extra income deductions based on if you were a homeowner or not a homeowner, and they give you more money if you bought a home within a certain year. That doesn't exist anymore. Currently, the best program I know of until it runs out is going to be like the LIFT program or neighborhood LIFT program. For better or worse, it's going to take a longer escrow period. You're going to have a harder time getting offers accepted, but if you do get your offer accepted, it's free grant money. Some cities and counties will match what you're given by the LIFT program because they want to encourage home ownership. So, for example, West Sacramento encourages home ownership, and they may match as long as funds remain at 0% interest that grant from the LIFT program, and they're going to give you a loan for that match until you sell your home or whatever their caveats are, probably if you rent it out or sell it or refinance. They want their money back. So why is that good or bad? Well, the good is that you come into the transaction with way less money, and ultimately you can buy down your interest rate. You don't pay as much in closing costs. There's a lot of benefits to that. The downside is if the city or the county is matching how much money you're getting from that free grant from the Neighborhood LIFT program, then you will have to pay it back if you refinance or move. But if you're not planning to do that kind of situation or game, right, where you're planning to rent it out later, you're just going to sell it, cool. Great program. You pay them back, 0% interest, no problem. Let's see. As far as first-time homebuyer programs go and down payment assistance, there's always CalHFA. There's other programs that exist through multiple lenders, but ultimately it's always going to take a little bit longer to close. It's going to require a little bit more effort on your part as a buyer, and that's because they're giving you more money. It's higher risk, typically higher interest rates, and that's okay, because if not, then you have to wait 2 or 3 years. And if we go back in time 2 or 3 years, you're really looking at, well, you would have gotten a lower price, but interest rates weren't that great in general. But ultimately, the interest rates for down payment assistance are higher. And if we go way, way back in time, like say 3, 4, 5 years ago, and you used down payment assistance and you paid 4.5% because that was the rate at the time, you've actually saved money, because the equity that you've made on your house at this point in time is probably closer to 20 or 30% over those 3, 4, 5 years. Versus if you were to rent, still use down payment assistance, or maybe put 3 or 4% down, 5%, you're in a worse position now financially than if you just started sooner. So I always personally believe in using down payment assistance if you're really motivated to be a homeowner, and then refinancing later if it's possible, or if you have an amazing rate over time, because right now interest rates are so low, then great. What's the problem? You're happy, you're in your home. Your payment's something that you can afford, and that's the main objective when we're buying a home. Never exceed what you're willing to afford. And the economy is doing great right now, so no problems. You should be very happy in your home. So first-time home buyer questions. We've covered the agency, we've covered the loans, we've covered down payment assistance. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, maintenance. So there's a couple of things. So before I go into maintenance, I want to talk about mail, for one. So when you first buy a home, especially as a first-time home buyer, you're going to get a bunch of mail that looks really, really important. It'll be first notice, second notice, last notice, final notice. All this stuff is scams typically. If you have a question, reach out to your real estate agent. They should be able to inform you if something is real or not real. But typically you can tell yourself based on the county that you're mailing it to. So if you're getting something from San Diego County or Los Angeles County saying that you need to buy life insurance, or that you need to buy your deed, a copy of your deed, just know that that's garbage. It's waste. It's just designed to get you to pay $80 or $100. And if you think they're mailing that to everybody in your state, whoever buys a house, that's a lot of money that these scam artists are going to be making. Thousands and thousands of dollars for nothing. When you close, you automatically get your deed, a copy of your deed, and all the paperwork you need to show that you're the owner. You don't need life insurance to guarantee your note. If you die, there's plenty of other things that could happen. And that life insurance policy may or may not even exist when you go to the grave, I guess, based on that sentence. If you were to die, it wouldn't even be something that would apply, in my opinion. And if it does, that's wonderful, but it's not required. If it was, we would do it during a transaction. So that's the mail part. And then finally, oh man, what was the last one? I might have forgot. Let's see, we had agency, lending, down payment assistance, mail, utilities. So the last one's going to be utilities. Sorry, my phone wants to turn its screen off. Something that people don't account for when they're buying. So like if you were renting for your entire life and now you decided, hey, guess what? I want to be an owner. Cheers to you, but something extra that you have to consider, aside from prepaid taxes and all that stuff that's built into your mortgage amount typically, is going to be utilities. So in Sacramento, we have SMUD, so that's your electric bill. We have PG&E, it's going to be your gas bill. You're going to have water, sewer, garbage. Depending on what county you're in, they can be 3 separate bills. They can be all in the same bill, or some of them can be paired together like water, sewer, and garbage is separate, whatever the case may be, but that's something you're going to want to budget for just to make sure that you're not going in over your head for expenses. So that's going to be, in my experience, electric can be anything. If you run your power all day, it's going to be very, very expensive. And you're welcome to do so because you own the home. But just realize that some bills can be in excess of $300-400, and that's your choice. But I would always conservatively run your power or your heating, and then figure out later if that feels good. Water, sewer, garbage. You're looking at about, water for me comes every 2 months. In my old house in West Sacramento, it came every month. Not terribly expensive, $40-50, unless you have a huge property, then $100-150 tops. And then your sewer, garbage. Sewer is pretty much a flat rate overall, based on how big your house is, how big your lot size is, and garbage is how big your trash cans are, so it will vary. But I would budget for $200 to $300 extra a month for a reasonable sized home in the Sacramento area. So for me, to recap, if I was a first-time home buyer, I think that would be a huge wealth of knowledge, everything I just covered. I know it wasn't very concise, but I did my very best. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, please leave them below. I'll be sure to pay attention over the next few hours and see if I can get back to you, give you guys some knowledge, share some experience with you. If there's some weird caveats or if you disagree with anything I've said, I'd be happy to take the critical review, learn from it, grow from it, share it with people in the future. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. May this just be the most wonderful day of your life, full of joy, happiness, holding God in your heart, happiness in your face. I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.